On today's episode of Animal Diaries, we'll be taking a look at how this rat snake survived getting hit by a car. What's going on, guys? I'm Zachary Gray, and today we're actually going to be looking at another one of the snakes we got. I actually got this snake a few months ago. It's very interesting. We got this snake up in Tennessee. As you can see, I've kind of shifted some of my stuff around. See him there? Yeah, he's under his little log. So if you can kind of have a look back there. Move this. Hello! So this is actually a gray rat snake, or I guess some people consider a black rat. I consider it a gray. Hello, buddy. His name is Subaru, and he is all the way from Nashville, Tennessee. Now, you may be wondering, why would we keep this snake? Well, the thing is, this snake actually got hit by a car. We were actually driving around, we were with friends in Nashville, Tennessee, and this little guy was right in the road. And we saw him, we looped back around. He was on a busy highway, like there were cars everywhere. We pulled up to him, and he was on the middle lane. He hadn't even fully crossed the road yet. Oh, it's okay. He was a little angry face. He was right in the middle of the line, on the two yellow lines in the middle of the road, and he was bleeding from his mouth, and it looked like he had gotten hit on his neck. He had a big crick in his neck, and I was like, he definitely got hit already. So we went, and we picked him up, and I was like, well, there's not really anywhere around here to put him, and he's probably not going to make it anyway. So I decided to bring him with me, and while we were up there for a couple days, he didn't die, which was interesting, because I was like, well, if he got hit by a car, he's probably not going to make it. I was like, well, I'll just bring him back with me, and you know, if he doesn't make it, he just doesn't make it. A few months later, he's still doing perfectly fine, and this is actually something that can happen with snakes from time to time. Some snakes can survive being hit by cars, and that's pretty crazy. Cars are big, they're going fast, and most of the time snakes will get smushed by them, and there's a very specific reason why some snakes will survive getting hit by cars. He was hit on the upper part of his body, and his head was not crushed by the vehicle. Now, one of the worst things to happen with a snake is for the lower half of their body to get hit and have internal organ damage and other crushed parts like that. But on their neck and right up in here, sometimes they can take a hit throughout this region. Oh, it's okay. Throughout this region and survive. Although that is very rare, it does end up happening. Now, this snake, he's had no issues since then. I actually gave him an antibiotic shot when we got back, but he hasn't had any issues since. He's eaten good, and I do plan, if we ever head back up to that area, I do actually plan on releasing the snake, but I find it really, really interesting that this snake could actually survive being hit by a car. Now, smaller snakes do tend to survive being hit by cars a little bit more than larger snakes, and he was a bump smaller than this when we actually found him. Now, gray rat snakes are a super muscular snake, and they're very good at climbing, and they're very, very limber. And I found that more limber snakes tend to be able to survive car accidents more than other snakes. So more heavy-bodied snakes, like water snakes, hognoses, and even king snakes, don't really survive cars very well. But occasionally racers, rat snakes, and other smaller, more nimble species can actually survive cars pretty well. Now, as you know, this is a 100% wild snake, and you may be wondering, well, why not just let him go in Louisiana? There's gray rat snakes here, and I'm sure he would do well. Yes, he would survive here, but it wouldn't be good to put him here. However, if we're ever back there, we will end up releasing him. I don't really need a gray rat snake, but I just thought it was really interesting to show you guys that snakes can occasionally survive getting hit by vehicles, which is interesting. And it's very unfortunate, but a lot of snakes every single year do get hit by cars and do not make it. And I do consider this little guy to be a rescue because he was in the middle of the road. He hadn't even fully crossed yet, and there were cars everywhere. If he had tried to finish crossing the road, he most definitely, or at least highly likely, would have been hit by a car again and not lived. So it's very crazy that he's still alive, and it's a very cool snake. It's also interesting to see how different the rat snakes up just a little bit north of here are. You can notice he's kind of got a darker gray coloration, and the ones down here tend to have more of a bronze or brown coloration. This is only a little one. He's about 2.5 feet long. They get much bigger than this. They can get about 6 feet in length. And right now, we're just keeping him in one of our little small tanks here. Whoop, it's okay. He's actually very friendly for a wild rat snake. They can be fairly aggressive sometimes, but he's doing pretty good. As you can see, he's very relaxed. He's eating good. They eat mice, rats, and other little lizards and stuff. Beautiful little animal. If you're ever out driving in areas where you know there's snakes, especially in the spring and summer months, be careful not to hit these guys. Lots of snakes are coming out on the roads those times of year. And we really do want to keep seeing these animals around. They're great for keeping down rats and mice, and I just love seeing them. So if you ever see one of these snakes in the road, do your best to try to let the snake cross the road, or better yet, just go around the snake. These things get clobbered by cars every single year, and we're starting to see less and less of pretty much every kind of snake because of that. But this is a really cool story of a snake that ended up surviving a car crash. So I just wanted to show you guys this really neat little guy. He's actually been doing really good in his little setup here. Shifted some of my snakes around and got him in here. And he eats mice, rats, an occasional lizard. And he doesn't like me messing with him too much, so I'm glad he ended up not biting me tonight. So there you go, buddy. Boop, boop, boop. Come on. Come on. Get in your tunnel. Silly. He also knocks his water bowl over like every single day. It's crazy. There you go. Bye, buddy. That's awesome.